What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of For Dummies, and tonight I am joined with the other three dummies. I have Mrs. Skullface.
Hello.
Mr. Just One.
Yo, what's happening?
And Mr. Robert D. Toff.
Hello.
And today we are going to discuss Robosen. Everybody's been going crazy regarding the Grimlock, and rightfully so, because it is impressive. But we are going to talk about the company a bit, talk about our experiences, what we think about it, etc., etc. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you that the uncut version of this very episode is available on Patreon at the $5 level, where you can get this and many more things and hear me talk about the problems with streaming again. But until then, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program. So, Robert, you are the only person in here that plans and is the biggest Robosen advocate and has been the largest supporter and purchaser of their products. What are your thoughts on Robosen?
I don't think they're expensive for what you're getting. They are expensive, but I don't think that their value is less than what they're charging. You are getting value for what you're paying. I think it's actually fair value, if not cheap, relative to the robot market.
That's a fair point.
Yeah,
because people are comparing this to Transformer prices, not to like electronic robotics.
Correct. I saw a YouTuber who was reviewing the Grimlock, and his shelves weren't full of Transformers. They were full of robots like that. And they are thousands of dollars each. And he was marveling at how the Grimlock was only like $1,500 or whatever it is. He couldn't believe something that transforms from a robot, a bipedal robot, to a bipedal dinosaur and is fully articulated and remote controlled in each mode. Like, he was really impressed by that. And he was showing how other things in the robot world are double the price, triple the price.
That's fair.
But what value are you getting with this Grimlock specifically that's better than that Prime?
The trailer and the Prime together cost about the same as the Grimlock.
Correct.
What does Grimlock do more? Well, one issue people have is the size, right? And
yeah.
I don't. On the one side, I'm like, it would be cool if they were scaled properly. And on the other side, I'm like, these are kind of one-off display pieces in my mind.
Yeah.
Even though it would be cool to have them all lined up.
I agree. I don't think this is a collection to scale together. That's not
Obviously
the point.
not.
Yeah, that's not the point of this collection. I get the perspective, right, of like, well, I'm buying them all. I want them to look right together. I get that, but the people that are making this are not making it with the intention of you like fleshing out a shelf with these things.
The one that I have, the flagship, is very large. That's the one you reviewed, Bobby. Then they have another line. The Elite line is where they're going. So flagship Prime was kind of like MPO1, but it's the same design, and they downscaled them a bit, and now this is in this Elite line. So there's a second Prime, like 100 or 200 less, but significantly smaller.
Oh, really? I didn't even realize.
Will it have a trailer? Will it have a trailer as well?
I don't think so. The flagship's the only one with a trailer, as far as I'm aware. But it's still large, and it's still in bot mode, like an inch taller than Grimlock in bot mode.
I think there's...
And this is a flagship Grimlock, which makes no sense.
What is the point of this? Like, I don't mean that to be flippant, and I don't mean that to be dismissive of what it is. I'm asking you as a collector of these, like, what is the point?
Oh, it's just fun. I mean, really, it's just to play with it. I have more fun playing with the Prime than I do with any of my figures. Put them on the floor, put them on the dining room table, talk to them.
You're just watching it transform and wiggle its hips. Like, it's not like it's walking around your apartment or anything.
Yo, he can walk. He can walk. No, he's remote control.
Yeah, but I mean...
No, I know, but how far is it really going? Like, it just does these little steps. It's like, dude...
I think, I think my concern with these is the novelty wearing off. I've really enjoyed the two that you sent me to review, but like by the time I've sent them both back to you, I was content with the time that we had together.
But yeah, but you know what? This guy is standing on my shelf, and I want to pull him off and play with him.
Well, that's cool. I guess it's subjective.
It's subjective. Far, the novelty hasn't worn off, but I'm not playing with them every day.
Right. But Bobby, if you had these, realistically, how often would you be messing with it?
Never.
Right.
Never. Like that's the thing is, there's only like 3 characters I would consider buying, and that would be Grimlock, Soundwave, and Dead End. But like the truth is that like, because I wouldn't be with this stuff very often, I wouldn't be messing with this stuff very often, it would basically end up coming down to a display piece for me, and they don't display all that well.
That's my argument, is because when they're not powered on, they just stand there. Maybe
the Prime can't.
The Prime can't do
What do
the
you
Prime,
What do you
and
mean it can't stand if it's not turned on?
Tell her.
When the Optimus Prime is powered down, his servos he'll just crumble down in a heap because the servos aren't powered on.
Oh my god!
So whatever hydraulic, whatever things are in it that make it stand up, only are on when the power's on. When the power's
So do you
So he
just
just
like?
lays-
Does he have a little bed? You just like tuck him in when you don't turn him
You
on?
just play him in truck
No,
mode.
no, you can. But
Oh.
Brink had shown me a figure stand that fits him. So right now he's on my shelf on a figure stand, then up with a figure stand. But you
I'll
can't
take-
like do some dynamic pose, you know. I
He's
mean,
in the
that
A
Prime
stand-
to me
in
is
the A
only
stance.
impressive with the trailer. Sorry, Laura, I'm interrupt.
Oh no, so
I still have the-
I will disagree with you there, Jisk. That Prime, in terms of like messing with it, that Prime is incredibly impressive. Like, and it's a je ne sais quoi. You can't like explain exactly why. It's the fact that like you always wanted it, and you don't know how special it is until you see it in front of you. Like you
Right.
see it go
All right,
through
I'll give you that.
the motions with the sound effect and everything, and you're like, holy shit. This is the thing. It does it.
Now,
but the problem
the thing
is the investment thereof. Does it pay off in the long run? And I think that's obviously going to come down collector to collector. But for me, I don't think it necessarily does. However, for a character like Grimlock that I did love, I would have gone in on it had it been in that $800 pocket. But it's $1,500. It's just out. It's outpriced my interest.
I'll tell you what. This is juxtaposed with another interest from my childhood. I was really into RC cars, you know. So,
Right. That's where I could see I could see that person being
Right.
into this.
because it's
And
remote
those are
controlled, which is
expensive
really
too.
fun.
If you get really into the thick of those,
Yeah.
I know that they can be pricey.
But a big part of those is also the hobby aspect, which this doesn't really have. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
That would be
You
cool.
can't upgrade these things at
Right.
all.
Right.
But anyway, remember you mentioned the way that Prime walks? He walks kind of gimpy.
Yes.
They actually they improved on with Grimlock.
I agree.
Looking at videos of him walking, they improved the gait of their design much.
I agree.
And also the dinosaur walks really cool. Like what's really cool about Prime just turns into a truck and then he can turn left and turn right, you know, and it's kind of the same servos for his hips and everything. So, you know, but it works. This thing has completely different mechanics for each bipedal mode, and it's really cool.
Which
you know,
and I think it's cool too. I think my issue with it, for these anyway, comes down to what Jisk was talking about, where, you know, it's hard for me to justify double the price when it doesn't seem like double the thing. The Grimlock doesn't seem like
Right.
twice as good as the Prime.
I don't think it's twice as good, but
And
yeah,
I don't,
like what is it giving you more? So you know, what I mean, it's not giving you anything extra.
well, yes, it has more servos. It is more complicated because it's two different bipedal robots in one instead of
It's
bipedal
still the
robot
same
transforming
legs that
into a
are-
truck.
no, it's because it's the arms,
Still the
right?
same legs
No.
that are walking in?
No, because
No?
it's
Yeah. All right.
yeah, that's fair.
And
that's
then
fair.
his neck and his dinosaur his like dinosaur head, neck, and mouth all move. Like, and the only thing that doesn't
That's
move is his
fair.
little dinosaur arm.
That's a fair point. That's
Yeah.
a fair point.
No, it's true.
Yeah, like
But
you're
Like, he moves around like you'd expect him to be moving.
the only thing that the Prime has to do in alt mode is roll. Like it only has
turn.
to, you know, it like so that in comparison to a walking T-Rex that can move its head, it should be able to move its arms, in my opinion, but move its head,
Right.
move its jaw, that sort of stuff. I mean, and walk, and can it wiggle waggle its tail a bit?
I'm not sure. I hope so.
I have a feeling
But I
it
mean,
might be able to.
Does that Prime in truck mode? Like, can you drive that thing around like an RC car? Like, it'll just
Yes.
fully just see.
Yes.
That may be worth it to me if you can drive that thing around. Like the Prime
With
may
the
be worth it.
trailer.
Yeah, which is cool, and then you can transform it and stuff, and then kind of walk it around. But again, it's cool for an afternoon.
Well, because the only thing I think about, and this coming back to your, like, when does the novelty wear off? Like, and obviously it wasn't the same price point, but was it Selena that got the BB-8?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the BB-8 that would, like, listen to your commands, you had the remote control for it. I'm pretty sure we played with it Christmas Day.
Yeah, and that was it.
It's on display in the
Yeah.
basement, because I just got to the point where she didn't even really need it in her room anymore because she was never doing
100% agree.
it. So it's a cool idea.
You know, and it's anything that is like the novelty, the interactive novelty of it. It always seems like a great idea until you have it forever. Except Robert. Robert's like super
Right,
enjoying it,
seems
which is great. But like I know that as soon as that battery died, I would never recharge it. I would never recharge it.
Is it rechargeable?
Yeah, it's like a micro USB. If I had $1,600 that I was going to throw at a Grimlock, while I might the novelty of that would be very enjoyable for those first moments with it, I think I would rather have like the Prime 1 Grimlock statue, you know, which is just because every time I see it, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't auto transform. It doesn't speak to me. It doesn't say happy birthday. It doesn't do all those things. But every time I see it, it looks exactly the way I want to see it, you know? So it's like my, the Imaginary Marts one. Like every time I see it, it looks exactly the way I want it to.
But really quick though, one other improvement they did with the Grimlock is he can stand in Dino mode powered down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw
that. That's good because that's where I think you want it. I think that you know you kind of said these things are like showpieces. Like you're gonna mess with it once or twice, and then it's kind of like when you have people over.
Yes,
look what I have.
And
some people are also or were interested in collecting remote controlled things. So it's like it crosses. You know, if you have that connection and you like Transformers, then you're gonna want to play with it more than somebody who really never cared about that as a kid. Like got into that hobby.
But then, how do you feel about the non-transforming Bumblebee at $400?
I don't feel that much of a connection to remote control stuff to want every one of these non-transforming releases they're making because Bumblebee's just the first. Now, talking about him specifically, I really don't like the design. He doesn't look right with the Prime. Sure, the size is all off. The size is all wrong next to either of the Primes, but just the aesthetic as well. The Prime looks more robotic.
Yeah, it has character.
Ironic. And it's just because I think of what they were working with, so they kind of went with it and made him look more robotic and more like MPO1 in a way. Just as more detail, more breakup. And this B is just super clean tuned, simple, and he doesn't transform.
Correct.
So and they're doing a line of these. They've got a Bumblebee movie Prime releasing. I saw a photo today. It looks like they're doing a Rise of the Beasts.
The Primal. Yeah.
You know, who knows what else they're going to do.
And I guess we'll see the success of it all. But I don't think that this concept even works non-transforming. I think it literally only works transforming because that is the novelty. Just having him like dance around is not a novelty enough.
Right. And it'll look as great. Like it would have to be super. Like it would really have to look good. And
it would have to look amazing.
That's the thing. All the other boxes of quality are checked. His gait is really good compared to the Prime. His balance is excellent. The materials are really solid. But
that's kind of the beauty of that Grimlock design is that like it always has kind of worked. It's just a transformation that works. It's like Shockwave. Like there's very few that just lend themselves to it where it's like even the G1 back in the 80s of Grimlock looked pretty good in dinosaur mode and looked pretty good in robot mode where most of them did not. You know, it's just something about the design that is successful, and I think that's what made it a smart choice. I just wish it wasn't so expensive because the novelty of it is not worth that price point. But that's not to say that,
especially if you just get to experience Roberts and then give it.
Well, yeah, that too, I guess. But it's also it's also not to say that like it doesn't deserve that price point. I'm usually more likely to go out on a limb and say like, look, they know their books. They know they don't want to charge too much because they know they're going to exclude a market from it. So I'm guessing this is where they see their bottom line working out because the amount of parts that you need for something is the amount of molds that you need to create it. And that's where the money comes in. The mold is where the money is. And these things have a ton of parts in them. So I don't doubt that they need to fetch that price. It just hurt because that first one was kind of like, for me, $800 for what you got with that Prime. I was like, that's a good price. And now it seems like, oh, this is an expensive price.
If you bought that Grimlock, where would you even put it?
I mean, I would put it somewhere random.
Yeah, because you can't really put it in like the Maja case or anything because you want to be able to. Well, you want to be able to touch it. So that is true. You couldn't put it in a Maja case because you'd want to touch it, but it's also true because everything that's in the Maja case looks better than that. Oh.
Right.
It's not
Does
a
it
super.
Fit in a DTOF? Would it fit in a DTOF?
It's not a. Yeah. That's probably a great place for it. Honestly, a DTOF. It's not a super impressive looking thing. It's what it can do that makes it impressive. But anyway, I do think that this company is very interesting, and I think it's exciting. You know, like I had more people hitting me up about this Robosen Grimlock than I did about the Fans Toys finished Minosaur that they showed recently, and it goes to show that people find this exciting. I just worry that they may have outpriced a fair bit of their market, but you know, they're producing, so maybe it's just the people that are willing to pay money for it that are also willing to shut the up.
One punch.
A size matters t-shirt.
RC car.
RC.